Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of The Bald Brad Show, where we cover the news of the day, everything you need to know heading into maybe your weekend or maybe just your day in general. A lot of you watch a ton of other podcasts and listen to them. And so it gives you a kind of holistic view of what's going on around the world. We'll be streaming a little bit longer than usual today. I don't have to be at work till a little bit later. So with that being said, good morning. I see you all in the chat. I'm still waking up myself. We are a morning show. Make sure you get your cup of coffee, your tea. Some of you are drinking beers in the morning, which is crazy, but hey, good for you. You're living the dream. Let me know in the chat, in the comment section, if you're able to post, what you're all drinking this morning. Is it water? Is it tea? Is it nothing? Is it dirt mixed with water? Hell, let me know. Well, we got this going on. Let's get into the holistic view of what's happening with the Trump administration. Border crossings are at insanely low numbers. Look, I always drive for perfection. Now, we never really reach it, but we should be driving for it. So I want those in the single digits, Mr. President. Can we do it? NPR funding trouble, and then Meta antitrust lawsuit is in effect, allegedly. And well, let's break some of this down here. Another legal battle is brewing over the deportation of 500,000 migrants allowed in the United States by Joe Biden. President Donald Trump pulls the federal funding rug out from under NPR, which a lot of us have been wanting, PBS, and Harvard. Will it hold up in Congress and the courts? And Mark Zuckerberg is back in the hot seat again, baby, as Facebook is accused of antitrust practices and cozying up with China. It's Wednesday, folks, April 16th, and this news you need to know to start your day. So here you go. Trump blocks migrant benefits, border crossings at an all-time low. The numbers are crazy in a good way. Border crossings continue to fall at a historic pace as President Donald Trump, 47, takes new steps to prevent illegal immigrants from accessing taxpayer benefits. In recent years, the Biden administration, if you recall, enacted a controversial humanitarian parolee program that offered legal status and 2-year work permits to migrants from Venezuela, Haiti, Cuba, and Nicaragua. I think we took in about 10% of the entire Haiti population, by the way. Something bonkers. More than 530,000 people from those countries took advantage and flew directly to the United States. In March, President Trump moved to revoke legal status for those migrants, giving them until April 21st to leave the country for deportation. What's going on, Ms. Brown? Good to see you. The White House argued these migrants were undermining American workers and faced little vetting before entering the country. Oh, little vetting. In some cases, no vetting whatsoever. They were leaving their passports and garbage on the ground. We covered it. They were leaving their documents and skipping to wherever they were going into the interior. Give me a break, vetted. There's terrorists here, violent gang members. We say it all the time. There's no, by the way, even if you did vet these people, we still don't know who they are. A terrorist hasn't exactly blown themselves up before. Maybe some of them have and they're missing limbs. Most of them, it's a one-time deal. So they've never committed an actual terrorist attack until they actually commit the terrorist attack. And this is exactly what the CIA knows all about. The Biden administration knew all about this. And I think, and I keep saying this, God forbid, but I think something terrible is going to happen within Donald Trump's administration because Joe Biden and the Democrat Party allowed it to happen. They're not stupid people. We call them stupid because they do stupid things, but they're not stupid people when it comes to strategy and planning. They're allowing this to happen. When something terrible happens with a terrorist attack, well, oh, look, now all of a sudden we're going back to war. Oh, here we are again, going back to Afghanistan and Iraq or the Middle East somewhere. Here we are pouring tons of money back into something. It's a vicious circle. It's a circle. So they're not vetting people. But this week, a federal judge appointed by President Barack Obama blocked that effort, saying the Trump administration must instead offer each migrant a case-by-case review before revoking legal status. Lovely. Yep, this is all part of the plan. Clog the system. Nothing happens. Nothing's going to change in 4 years. Yada, yada, yada. This was all part of it. See, Joe, I'm sure, didn't know anything about it. Maybe for a short time, his brain's not working properly. But all the bureaucrats sure did. All the people that are anti-America, folks, allowed these people into the country and gave them legal status. On your dime, by the way. So all these people that are complaining about Donald Trump's tariffs and having to pay more for something had nothing to say about having to pay more for the fact that it's supply and demand economics, that things were more expensive because you have millions of people, 21 to 25 million people here illegally that you're competing with for educational services, food, resources, health, housing, shelter. Doesn't matter what it is. You're competing against all of them, which increases everything. Your medical costs, your premiums. You keep wondering why your premiums are going up. God, have things really gotten this expensive over the last year? No, not really. It's just there's a lot of people tapping into the system right now, really just drawing from it and siphoning from it left and right. So not only are you trying to feed your own family and get ahead for yourself, but you're actually feeding somebody else's entire freaking family. And they can't, oh, Donald Trump's tariffs, everything. I'm not going to be able to get my Nikes anymore. However, in general, the Trump administration's immigration efforts have borne fruit. The latest report from Customs and Border Protection confirmed that border crossings fell 95%. Trump was citing 99.1% in the Oval Office just the other day. 95% in March compared to the same month last year. Folks, that's just 7,100 migrants apprehended across the entire month, by the way. This number is lower than one day of Joey's. So Joey had 9 to 10,000, in some cases 11 to 15,000. I think that number was correct. We'll stick with 11,000 coming in each and every day. This is 1 month. That's roughly the number of migrants that came. There you go, right there. Every single day during the Biden's first term, every single day. The Trump administration has also continued to go after roughly 435,000 people living here illegally who've been convicted of additional crimes. Now, I think this is where Trump shot himself in the foot by saying, well, we're just going to go after people with crimes. You should have just said, hey, we're just going to go after you if you're illegal or not. You committed a crime, you didn't commit a crime, you're here illegally, you committed a crime, we're just coming for you. And left it at that, because now, whenever you arrest somebody and deport them when they're not a criminal, everyone on the media is going, well, they're not a criminal. They didn't commit a they didn't do nothing. Well, they kind of did do something. They came here illegally, and they gave you the double middle finger and said, hey, we don't care about your laws. We don't. By the way, if somebody's coming here illegally, there is a great question to ask. Do they actually want to assimilate into our creed and our values? Because something that you would have to assimilate into is our laws, and they don't want to follow it because they're better than everybody else. They're different than everybody else, and they need to be put on a pedestal more than actual Americans that they're siphoning funds from the system. ICE arrests have tripled. They're holier than thou, folks. They get to skip the line. It's all, I say this all the time, try to bring everything always down to the individual. Bring something down to yourself before you kind of go up the stream. You're standing in line for a ride. Let's just be a little bit silly here. You stand in line for a ride. You're in it for 3 hours. Sometimes at Disneyland, no joke, some rides are standing in line for 3 hours. I don't do that, but some people do. Some person just comes and just enters the park, and you've been standing there in the hot ass sun, just beating down on you. The wife is nagging you. I told you this thing's gonna be for 3 hours, blah, 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 right? You're sitting there. And this person comes up, and just cuts right in front of the line. You think you'd be a little bit pissed off? They just got to the park. Screw all you guys, double middle fingers. Their kids are flipping you off as they're going by, right, with their little pacifier in their mouth, giving you the bird. You think you'd be a little pissed off? I think so. Hell, you get pissed off when you're not even waiting in line for 3 hours. You're just pissed off that the guy cuts you. But yeah, we're supposed to turn a blind eye to all this taking place. Oh no, they're leaving because of climate change. Yeah, there's drought and water. There's no water there. They're leaving because of climate change. Oh, okay. So that gives you a right to break the law because there's climate change out there in the ether. Do I get to say that? Do I get to go steal a bunch of shit now and go, well, it's not raining. It's hot out here. Climate change. God, they're actually doing that with people. Oh, they just had a tough life. You got to treat them differently. Yeah. They're doing that with people with crime. We talked about it here on the show. We covered articles. We did it in 3 weeks. What Biden couldn't do in 3 or 4 years. Well, Biden can't do a lot. Joey couldn't do it. That's my phrase. Joey couldn't do it. I should make shirts. Joey couldn't do it. Right now, As you and I are talking, we have the most secure border in history of this nation, and the data proves it. Well, I think the most secure border since we started recording, absolutely. I'm not taking your thunder, Mr. Homan. You're doing a great job, but you also overpromised and underdelivered, sir. I'm just going to be honest with you. This is my number one, sometimes number two. It's wish-washy. You're not doing what I thought you would do. You're not doing what you said you were going to do. He said he was going to deport all these people, and it's not happening. Folks, it's been 3 months. I'm happy that it's happening, but not to the. I'm not seeing freaking C-747s flying over my head going, oh, I live in California. I would be the one that would see it. Wow, look at all the planes. Look at bye-bye. Nope. The White House is now seeking $45 billion in additional funding to construct new detention facilities so it can expedite its mass deportation effort. The public still broadly approves of Trump's immigration policies, so that's good. The other one that I'm loving is NPR, PBS, and Harvard. The reason why I love this funding cut is because this is just another way that the Democrat Party uses the media to push a bunch of false narratives and propaganda that could swing elections. It is, in my mind, election interference. If they were doing unbiased reporting, which you should do as the national broadcasting service, if you don't want to do that and be unbiased, then you don't need my money. It just comes, and I'm okay with them doing both sides. You don't need my money. In the same way, Harvard doesn't need $2 billion or whatever. You want to be a private institution, you want to be a private business, that's fine. Then you don't need taxpayer dollars. Go do your thing. That's you want to push woke ideology, anti-Semitism, anti-American bullcrap. You don't need my money. President Donald Trump is renewing his push to strip NPR and PBS over their funding while also freezing more than $2 billion with a B in federal grant earmarked for Harvard. The moves have sparked heated debate, with supporters calling it a step toward fiscal responsibility and critics warning it threatens independent journalism and academic freedom. Conservatives have talked about defunding NPR and PBS for years. God, you might know a conservative. That's me. And I've been calling for that for years, probably decade plus at this point. But now they appear to have the political winds at their backs. Trust in the media is at an all-time low. How could it not be? And a lot of Americans are sympathetic to the idea that we do not need to spend billions of dollars in taxpayer money on these entities that many view as biased. Yes, and by the way, nobody listens to their crap anyways. So let's start funding something that nobody listens to. Everybody's going to podcasts. Everybody's going to, I'm not a journalist, but like independent journalist, actually giving the news. There is a bias swing to it, but at least I'm open about it. Hey, they always come in here, right? The lefties always come in here and complain. Oh, well, of course you're a Trump supporter. Yeah, you idiot. Of course I'm a Trump supporter. Welcome. Read the freaking About Me section before you start watching the show. It's a conservative show. God forbid. NPR and PBS isn't conservative. It's not even supposed to be Democrat, left leaning, all the bit. It's supposed to be in the middle. But it's too difficult. You're asking too much of them, you guys. They have to use their brain. I know. Difficult, hard, almost impossible. President Trump specifically accused NPR of being a mouthpiece for the radical left. Yes, sir, you're correct. And he's calling on Republicans in Congress to introduce legislation that rescinds the funds that have been previously approved. Rescissions would require the approval of the House and the Senate, where Republicans control narrow majorities. So we need both. He needs to get this done now because you only have so long when you have all three branches of government. You got to get stuff moving. It's not moving fast enough, in my opinion. Things were built to move slow in this country. I get it. Government is built to move slow, but I don't trust the Democrat Party and the progressive left, especially now that they're pushing out Bernie Sanders and AOC to these mega arenas now. I'll show clips of that if we have time. But yeah, Bernie Sanders and AOC are doing their rounds. Two socialists that want to steal your money are doing their rounds. Like I said, you got to be prepared, folks, to cognify a lot of this stuff in law because it's going to make it harder for AOC, Bernie Sanders, Gavin Newsom, all these psychos to undo it. That's what's going to happen. Donald Trump's going to put in all this work. He's going to make America great again, or at least try to do so. Then you're going to have these socialists come in that claim that they're Democrats, they're centrists, and they're going to try to just completely crap on everything. They're going to steal your money. They're going to go back to sending your money to Mozambique for condoms or Sesame Street in Iraq and all this stuff. And then you're going to wonder where all your money went. And then here we are again dealing with the same shenanigans. The Trump administration froze $2.2 billion in a multi-year grant and $60 million in contracts at Harvard after the university refused, this still blows my mind, refused the demands to overhaul its policies. Harvard said, hey, and by the way, it was $9 billion originally. Hey, we would rather have anti-Semitism on our campus than take your $9 billion. That's how much these universities love hating on Jewish people. And I'm not a Jew, by the way. I'm an American. Love anti-Israel, anti-Jewish rhetoric. And they love anti-American rhetoric, by the way. And that's something that needs to be pushed a little bit harder here, is not just focusing on anti-Semitism. Let's talk about anti-American. Let's push that a little bit in the sense of, hey, you know, if you're here on a visa, or you're here for a work permit for a short time, or you're just visiting, hey, if you want to be anti-American, you can get the hell out. Because you don't have that right. We do as Americans. We could talk crap at our own country because we live here and we're citizens. But yeah, you don't get that right. No, you don't. You get the hell out. By the way, if you think the country's so bad in the first place, then why the hell did you come here? I'm so tired of it. You know, or I posted something on X, right? Like I was laying in bed at like 4 o'clock this morning and just cruising just like I always do. And there was a freaking great comic right here. Look at this. Right here. There's a lady, for those on audio, because people do listen to this on audio. There's a person wearing a looks like a Saudi hijab, but anyways, and they're at a university and they're stepping on the American flag, and it's a cartoon. It's like a, you know, those like old school that we see in the newspapers back when we were kids. It says "Death to America," and then there's a politician kicking them out of the United States with the border wall in the background. And they're saying, hey, wait, I want to stay. Doesn't this sum up what we're seeing all the time? I wonder if the frontal, you know, the only thing that makes sense to me is the frontal lobe is just not developed. I mean, maybe we should look into that. If the frontal lobe is slowing in terms of development, because the frontal lobe is what dictates not just reason and decision making, but it also, if it's not developed, you can't actually make that leap to the future. Meaning you're not able to make the connection between point A and point B, meaning that point A is going to affect point B. They're not able to actually make it. So that's why there's some struggles in the education system, because people aren't able, actually not capable until they're in their mid-20s to make that full-fledged connection. Meaning if they do something now, they're not able to process the ramifications and the outgrowth of all the variables that would affect out there in the ether later on in the future. They can't do it. And it's not even that, it's not, you can't even actually blame them because their brain isn't not capable of doing so. That's why when a kid does something stupid and you look at them as the parent and you say, what the hell's wrong with you? Why'd you do that? And they're just sitting there with the toothpaste drooling down their face after they got done throwing it everywhere. And they're just dumbfounded. They're like, I don't know, mommy. Because they actually don't know. And by the way, if you were confused if that was a toddler or a Democrat, you can't tell the difference nowadays. I'm not blaming, I'm being serious. You can't tell the difference between a toddler and a Democrat some days. Go look at the protests. Some of them are actually wearing diapers and putting snack packs in their diapers as if it's doo-doo, and they're digging in it and eating it. This is how deranged these people are. Yeah, snack packs to make it look like caca and doo-doo. They're wearing diapers out there in these protests, and they're digging in their butt and they're eating it. God, look at me. But they're rational. Yeah, these are the AOC, Bernie Sanders supporters. Absolutely. But we're the weird ones, right? Like Tim Waltz, we're the weird ones. Like, bro, your party's digging in their ass and wiping it on Teslas and pretending to eat it. Shut up. You're dressing as furries, man. You're having your spouse dress you up as a dog and eating out of a actual dog food, eating out of a dog bowl. Psycho people. I'm telling you, they're not well, man. These people are not well. So they want to have anti-Semitism out there on campus. They would rather have it than have a $9 billion. That's how much it's worth to them. Money talks, man. You also have Facebook. We've talked a little bit about this, that Facebook was cozying up with China, giving your information and other resources. So here we go. The FTC and Meta Platforms, Inc. began in court this week. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg sat for his second day of testimony in the trial that risks breaking up his social media empire. This case was initially brought during President Trump's first term and has taken more than 4 years to work through the courts. Jeez. The FTC says that Meta is a monopoly that has bought its way out of competing. The government argues that when Facebook paid $1 billion for Instagram in 2012 and bought WhatsApp in a nearly $22 billion deal in 2014, Facebook illegally cornered what the FTC calls the personal social networking. My question is why is YouTube not in the mix on this? YouTube and Google have optimization in the market as well. And that's why they're able to get away with censoring conservative platforms like myself. And I want to point that out once again. I've used every single AI that is out there and put in my analytics from YouTube. I put in all the numbers. Every single person I've talked to physically, like you guys and my friends and my family, people who are close to me, will actually tell me the truth. Like, Brad, you're an idiot. Shut up. I've had companies look at it by metrics. I've had every single AI software look at it. There's never an instance. I want to point this out. I want to be clear here. There has never been an instance on anybody I've ever talked to about this, gone through my actual analytics, my data behind the scenes, that says I'm not being shadow banned and throttled by YouTube. Every AI software out there, and by the way, I'm talking about the most recent stuff. In some cases, takes like $200 a month to use. Every single platform has said you're being shadow banned and throttled by YouTube. It's not statistically possible to take place. So it ain't my fucking thinking. They're censoring people big time. And it's also happening on TikTok. It's happening under the Donald Trump administration, folks. They want to suppress this, which makes it even more amazing that Donald Trump's numbers are doing that well, because of, it should be doing a lot better because they're censoring our voice. They're suppressing our voice from getting out there. I shouldn't say censoring. They're allowing me to talk. Clearly, I'm on their platform. But boy, oh boy, doesn't make sense. Meta disputes this. It says the market is actually much larger and includes TikTok, YouTube, and X. For instance, when TikTok had an outage earlier this year, Instagram saw its usage spike, which suggests that people use the sites interchangeably. Meta has also argued that by going after it, the Trump administration is helping the Chinese-owned TikTok even more. TikTok was banned in the United States last year, but earlier this month, Trump extended the pause on the congressional approval ban on that app. So this is the part that I've talked about in the past. Trump is not actually executing the laws that are on the books. TikTok should be banned. And after seeing the censorship they're doing on conservatives, Republicans, ban the damn thing. Screw it. F it. Somebody else will create another app. It's always come around. We've had Vine. We've had a lot of apps out there throughout the years. We used to be on AOL back in the day, even though it's not an app. We've been through it. MySpace, Facebook, AOL. Somebody's going to come up with something new, and we could just go over that. Screw the Chinese, screw TikTok, get rid of it, create another app, and move forward. This trial is expected to go on for 8 weeks, so there will be plenty more ahead. But if Meta loses, it will be forced to sell off Instagram and WhatsApp. So good for the Trump administration for targeting them, but there's not enough being done on YouTube as well as TikTok for the censorship that's going on. And there is a lawsuit between Rumble and YouTube that's been going on for quite some time that's talking a little bit like that. And I gave Rumble full access to my my analytics, saying if you need anything, find my stuff in the discovery phase of this lawsuit, because I want that stuff out there. There's no way. No way. Let's go to the chat real quick. I have not given you guys some love. I apologize. We've been deep in it. Kind of like this lady has been deep in the progressives. We have, let's see. Sea-Dog says, Miss Mom, my wife has been amazing since we were kids. Unfortunately, it took me a bit to treat her as good as she deserves. Core still not quite there, but getting better. Yeah, we always feel that way too, Sea-Dog, to be honest. We always feel as men we're not doing enough. We don't show it, but, there's always processing going up on here big time. George says, Angel, U.S. taxpayers are paying for Senator's trip. Yep, to El Salvador. We will cover that in just one moment. I'd imagine that's what you're talking about over there. What else do we have here? Sorry to break it to you, brother, but we've been corrupted since 1776 one way or another. There is some truth to that. There is some truth to that. I would say definitely since World War II. Absolutely. No, I would say most corruption in my mind started with FDR. I would say that's when a lot of corruption really happened. Now, I'm not saying it hadn't happened beforehand, There's always going to be corruption. You never have perfect government. Government by definition is basically corrupt. Travis Copy here says, anyone see that the White House said we have technology to manipulate time and space? They said stuff, distance is annihilated, and we can cause things to grow. What the crap? I don't know if that's true. I've heard a lot of stuff about teleportation recently and that one flight being teleported out of this universe. I don't know. I don't know if I believe it. We can't even budget things correctly. Like, we can't even get a piece of paper out and budget things correctly. I don't know. I'm starting to lose faith that we have all this technology. By the way, I love that type of stuff. I love talking about the paranormal, the unexplained, and the supernatural. I still find it interesting. But the more and more I do this, the Bald Brad Show, Dark MAGA, I don't know if our government has the type of technology it really claims it has. I don't know. I think it's more of a buffer to scare. It's a scare tactic. Like, hey, don't mess with us. But in actuality, like, we're not that far ahead of you. And I don't think we're as far as ahead of the Chinese as we really claim anymore. I don't think so. I think it's really come neck and neck. We have Oregon defying Trump on DEI in schools. Its students are falling through the cracks. When Oregon's Democrat governor, now I'm telling you, if you just had to guess, I would guess Democrat, announced her state would defy President Donald Trump's ban on diversity, equity, inclusion. She said she was doing it for good reason. It's the kids. The Democrats love the kids. Oh, they love them like Joey loves sniffing children. When they see children, they get antsy, right? They get all excited because they're freaks, man. Since the start of the new federal administration, I promised Oregon residents, that I would not back down from a fight when it comes to safeguarding our Oregon values. Because they love children. They're freaks. Making sure every child has the opportunity to meet their future promise, unless it's an abortion, then you don't. With a strong public education is one of the most fundamental responsibilities of government and one of the top priorities as a governor. It's not one of the most fundamental responsibilities of government. The government has a responsibility and basically really the sole responsibility, speaking of 1776, going back to Hobbesian theory or philosophy, and then you also have Locke philosophy. Government was there to actually protect the people and protect the rights of the people. Now, at the end of the day, the protection of the rights really comes down to the individual. You have the right to protect your own rights. And that's kind of a dispute between Hobbes and Locke. I don't want to get too super philosophical, but Thomas Hobbes felt that the government had absolute authority. Right. Thomas Hobbes was the one that kind of molded and shaped some of the founders' thinking. And then that kind of rolled into Lockean theory, philosophy as well, where Locke said, no, we have, individual rights, and those rights are not granted necessarily by government, but through those natural rights. And those natural rights have to be protected by the individual, although the government can protect them as well. But once the government starts infringing on your rights, well, now you have the right to basically dissolve government and destroy it and go after it. Where Hobbesian theory, philosophy does not believe that. Hobbes says, well, government is the absolute authority. The government is the one that grants the rights. And the only time, and there's some dispute about this, the only time that you can go against the government is if your life is in danger. Other than that, they have absolute authority. So obviously Hobbes was a fan of the crown. He was a fan of the king. So that's I don't even know why I got into that, but anyhow, where are we? Making sure every child has the opportunity they have in the future. That's ironic because under the Chick's leadership, Oregon students are struggling to get by. Of course they are, because Democrats don't know how to run education. See, this is the one thing you can't blame Republicans for, is the education system. This is solely the work of the Democrat Party and the progressive left. You would be hard pressed to find Republicans in education. Now you're looking at one, but I don't run it. That's ironic because under Democrat leadership, I changed it. Oregon students are struggling. Nearly half of Oregon fourth graders score below basic levels in reading, meaning they lack important reading comprehension skills, like being able to determine the main idea of a text. The main idea. In math, about a third of fourth graders score below basic meaning, like they struggle with simple concepts like odd numbers, the number line. What they're saying, you guys, is they don't know anything. Okay. They don't know anything. They don't know how to add and subtract and multiply. 8th graders scores were just concerning, with nearly 45% scoring below basic in math and over 35% scoring below basic in reading. So they can't read and do math. Now you have to ask yourselves, how did somebody go from 1st grade to 2nd grade without meeting the requirements of 1st grade? Because they don't hold anybody back anymore. At all, by the way. At all. I'll give you a prime example that I witness every single year and every single day. Usually as a 9th grader, 9th, high school, you take Algebra 1. You fail it. By the way, if you get a C in high school, if your kid has a C, your alarm bell should be going off, because that could be an F, a D, or a C. You don't know what that is. If they have an A, it's a B. If they have a B, it's a C. Your kid got a C, okay? Don't be prancing around that it's, oh, well, look at them. Maybe it's legit. Maybe. Not nowadays. When we were kids, it was legit. God, you got an A, man. It's like, holy Lord, she gave me an A. What I'm saying is, if you fail Algebra 1, let's go to the chat. Let's go to the Americans. Let's not talk to the teacher here. Let's go to the Americans. I want to know what you guys think. And be honest with me. You know I love you guys to death. I love hanging out with you. We got that type of friendship. You got to be honest. Just, I don't want you to agree with me, because I don't want that. I want you to be honest. If you don't pass Algebra 1, because we've all been through school, should you progress to Algebra 2 your sophomore year? Yes or no? You didn't pass. You got an F. You got a D. Should you progress to Algebra 2? Just go to the chat here, because we're all everyday Americans. I want to see. I knew what Karen would say. Okay. I'll read it in a moment. I see what you guys are doing. So while you're putting that in there, nowadays, that is what they do. So when we all grew up, we got held back. So when you see 21-year-old Johnny still in high school and he's a senior, and the dude's freaking grown a full beard like mine, it's a little embarrassing, is it not? To go, oh God, that guy's been here for a while. The guy should have already graduated college and he's still in high school. Can't do it. They don't do that anymore. So No Child Left Behind is actually not in effect. Barack Obama did away with that. It's called something else. So that's not even in effect anymore. I think that stopped in like 2015 or something. But I agree with you. It's not a good thing. And by the way, that was a Bush thing. That's one thing Republicans could be blamed for, is No Child Left Behind. So now what they do, I'm going to tell you what they do. You don't get left behind anymore. You progress forward. So if you don't even know the basics, by the way, from elementary school, because usually the same kids that struggle in math in high school, well, they didn't know shit beforehand. So now sorry to cuss, but it's true. Now you just progress through. So now you're in Algebra 1, you fail that. They're going to, listen carefully, they're going to bump you to Algebra 2. While you're sitting in Algebra 2 class, one of your other classes is to remediate Algebra 1. So while you're learning vastly more difficult concepts that you would have to know the foundation of Algebra 1 to succeed in Algebra 2, you're trying to learn the Algebra 1 foundations while in Algebra 2 class. How the flying fuck does that make sense to anybody? There's not a single person in my chat, hundreds of people, by the way, on all platforms that think that's a good idea. So how is it that we're allowing this to happen in all of education? Then you wonder, well, how'd they get to high school in the first place if 8th graders, half of them, can't read or do math? Hello? How are they getting into high school, half of the country, if they can't read and do math? Hello? Why have state standards? Am I being an asshole here? Or I hand to God, sometimes I feel freaking crazy, you guys. I know I'm on a rant. I feel freaking crazy right now. I'm the dumb one. You want to know how bad things are? I go off on education all the time because the fucking idiots are running the show in the education department. Hand to God, you guys, seriously. Am I off the reservation here? And who do they blame? Who does everybody blame for their kid failing? I'm going to go over this again. Your kid can't read or do math in 8th grade. You come in high school and they fail. Who do they blame all the time? And I'll tell you what, it ain't the kid and it ain't the parent. Who are they going to blame? Me. The teacher that stands there for 75 minutes every day and teaches. It's my fault. Oh, it's my fault. Yeah, he's not teaching. I told you guys that I don't spread any political bullshit in my classroom. I don't want to talk about politics with you unless it has to do with statistics or finance. Then yeah, politics gets brought up because, taxes are political, finance is political. But I'm not pushing some weird ideology. And by the way, most teachers aren't. So that idea of, oh, well, they're indoctrinating my kids in the trans theory and critical race theory. Not really. Especially when you're talking about mathematics, there's not enough fucking time. Some teachers do. Some psychos do. Most don't, you guys. Most teachers do not push indoctrination on their students. Most do not. I know we want to think that because it's easy to blame somebody else for our problems. It's just so easy. Bonkers, man. Thank you for listening to me rant. I needed that. You're speaking to the choir. I know. Well, who else am I supposed to speak to, though? You guys are my outlet, man. You're my people. I need you guys. I'm so mad. I did summer school as well, Angel. Not that your name's just Angel, but I wasn't exactly an angel in school myself. I got D's and F freshman and sophomore year. But you know what? It wasn't the teacher's fault. It wasn't the education's fault. Guess what? I would rather fuck off and play hockey and video games than doing education. And I realized, God, I should probably turn this around. So I went to summer school. Didn't blame the teacher. Didn't blame everybody else for my problems. Going, oh, well, this person's racist. They just don't like me. No, I just didn't want to put in the work. And I was actually self-aware that, oh, it's my fault. That's why it frustrates me, because I'm not a hypocrite on that one. College is just a party now. Yeah, college is a scam, man. And people are paying $100,000 plus and driving themselves into debt to go into college. What a bunch of idiots. What a bunch of idiots. Sorry if anybody did that, but, it was stupid. Ready for that vacation, Brad? That's freaking A. Absolutely. Yes, I am. As you can tell, I am really ready for that vacation. But I'm going to miss you guys. I'm not ready to leave you guys. I'll be honest. Me and my wife even thought about maybe like getting Wi-Fi and streaming on vacation. And I'm being serious. It's not about like, oh, I have to. I just really enjoy hanging out with you guys. Like seriously. So I appreciate all the love and support you guys always show me. So it's not about like, oh, I got to do a show. All my stuff contractual wise is done by tomorrow, but for the entire month. But I just enjoy hanging out with you guys so much that even if I'm on vacation, if you're with your like, how do I put this? I look at you guys as my friends, right? Obviously, your viewers, never met you in my entire life, don't really know you that well. I know your names and some of the stuff you guys do for work and stuff like that. But if you really enjoy people's company, it doesn't matter where you're at. You just want to spend time with them. That's how I feel. It's the God honest truth. Why would I say it if I didn't believe it? I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. It's not like we're a big channel here. We're a tight knit community. When do I leave? I leave Friday. So we'll see what things look like. Might do a morning show tomorrow. If I don't do a morning show tomorrow, I'll do an evening show today for about an hour. And love you guys too. And we'll leave. But I'll be gone from Friday till April 20. When I come back, April 28th will be the show that I come back on. April 28th, we'll be back. So let's get into this. So some of you talked about this in the chat. Democrat senator headed to El Salvador on your money, by the way. Well, maybe your state money, Maryland, on mission to bring MS-13 suspect back to America. We're getting what we prayed for. I asked for this. I was like, go over there. I'm kind of curious myself. What's happening? And the sucky thing is I'll probably be gone and I won't know till I come back. I got to wait a week for this. I'm not going to have any access to any news. So you guys are probably looking through news like, man, Brad's missing out on this. This is awesome. So Senator Chris Van Hollen announced Tuesday he would travel to El Salvador to check on Mr. Garcia, an alleged MS-13 gang member. The reason why is because the Democrats think that El Salvador president or Donald Trump deleted him. So that's why they can't bring him back, because he's not alive anymore. That's what the Democrats believe. But remember, we're conspiracy theorists. Now, it might actually be true. I'm not sure. Go check on him. I don't care. Whatever. You're not bringing him back because he's an illegal immigrant. You can't smuggle somebody into the country. You have somebody active. It's crazy to me. And I thought Stephen Miller said it perfect, as he always does, because the guy's a freaking great. The guy's one of the greatest people in the Trump administration. Can explain stuff easily. Democrats are now smuggling in illegal immigrants. Let that sink in. And they're all for it. They're all for it. They're actually smuggling in terrorists now. Remember how I said Democrats love terrorists? And everything they've done shows that they do, by allowing terrorists to come into our country, by giving billions of dollars to terrorism. Joe Biden, Barack Obama gave them cold hard cash. Actual, like, this is a receipt. But imagine if this is money. Cold hard cash. Billions, pallets, gave terrorists billions of dollars because they love it. So now they want to smuggle in terrorists, which just builds more on the credence, credibility of what we're talking about here. Oh, we got somebody new in the chat. It's God, it's so tiny. That's what she said. And is it? We'll call it M. M, welcome to the chat. Good to see you. Hell yeah, love that. I get mad. There is so much info on the way children learn, yet government schools do not use this knowledge. Yeah, but at the end of the day, this is where I'm kind of push back. It's your education. You can't blame anybody else for you not learning nowadays. It's different than when we grew up, you guys. We had to actively walk to the library when we were kids. You guys remember the botanical encyclopedias that you had to look through because we couldn't just Google it? So we had to go through the encyclopedia books. We had to actually dig for information. We had to fucking read for once. I don't mean to cuss. There's no excuse as to why there's no excuse as to why you can't learn something nowadays. You guys, ChatGPT. No, we're doing this. No, now you got me going. Now you got me going, baby. By the way, welcome to the chat. Don't think I'm hounding you. Just want to point something out. You can physically talk to ChatGPT now. Let's do it. Hey, ChatGPT, can you tell me the difference between a discrete random variable and a random variable?
Sure. A random variable is a variable that represents a numerical outcome of a random phenomenon. It can be either discrete.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding this correctly. Can you actually do it in a British accent? Because I learn better from people that speak in a British accent.
Of course. So, a random variable is a variable that assigns numerical values to the outcomes of a random process.
Wait, hold on a second. This is too difficult. I'm in 6th grade. I can't understand this. Can you tell it to me like I'm a 6th grader?
Absolutely. Imagine a random variable is just a way to assign numbers to different outcomes. A discrete random variable is like counting things, like the number of pets in a house. It can only take certain numbers, like 0, 1, 2, or 3. It can't be 2.5 pets, right? On the other hand...
Okay. All right, so that's audio. That's fine. That's fine. No, you can learn anything. Anything. Khan Academy. No, I'm on a rant now. Nope. You guys, I believe in this so much that people can learn anything. No, we're doing this. This is Khan Academy. This was a while ago.
Of Khan Academy. And I'm also the author of a new book about artificial intelligence and education called Brave New Words. And OpenAI invited myself and my son Imran here. Hello there.
So what he has on his tablet is artificial intelligence. By the way, you don't need a tablet to do this. This kid is going to actively try to solve this geometry question. Or I guess a trig question. It looks like it's trig. And AI is going to walk him through it as he's physically doing it himself.
I'm here with my son, and I'd love you to tutor him on this math problem, but don't give him the answer. You can ask questions and nudge him in the right direction, but I really want to make sure he understands it himself. And he's here in the room, so you can talk to him directly.
Of course, I'd be happy to help. Let's look at the problem together. Can you first identify which sides of the triangle are the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse relative to angle alpha?
All right, so I'm pretty sure this is the angle alpha right here, right?
I'm not exaggerating when I say kids in high school don't know what alpha is, okay? So they might not even be able to answer that one, but we'll continue nonetheless, and that's not an exaggeration.
That's correct.
Kids don't know what adjacent means. So that's one thing that I'm struggling to see even now as an educator, is because they don't know how to read, and statistics is all paragraphs. That's all it is just reading and interpreting, writing paragraphs yourself. I've had to alter the way that I phrase things to the most simplistic form because they don't know the meaning of words. I'm not beating them up. It's just, it's crazy to see now.
Now, looking at the triangle, which side do you think is the hypotenuse?
Really,
Remember the hypotenuse?
I'm not totally sure. I think it might be this one, but
So why can't you learn
I'm not
nowadays?
sure. This side AC.
A
You're
free tutor.
close. Actually, side AC is called the adjacent side to the angle alpha. The hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle and is
This is not a person. This is artificial intelligence actively telling him what he's getting wrong right now. Let's blame it on the teachers. Yeah. It's your education. It's not the teacher's education. By the way, it's not even the parent's education. It's your education. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the time. Don't blame everybody else for the outcome. Let's go back to this. Sorry. But also, again, that person probably left. I'm sorry. A new viewer, and I'm like slapping them around. You know, I love you, girl. I'm sorry. Come back to me. Miss Mom, thank you so much for becoming a member of the Bald Brad Army. You've been a member for a while because I could see that badge. That is the American Patriot badge. Hell yeah, I love that. I appreciate that. And Jeff, thank you so much for writing that. We need to keep the Bald Brad Army growing, baby. Thank you so much. And it's with your guys' help that we're able to do that. It really is. And not to get really weird, but it's like, man, dude, it's such an uphill climb dealing with YouTube. Like, it gets in my head. But at the end of the day, I've always held this, that even if we had one person watching, we'll still do this. Even if we had one person watching. The fear is, here's where the fear comes in. And I know I'm kind of going on a random tangent. I promise I'll get to the article. You're like, Brad, shut up. But it is important. The fear is this, you guys, of why I want to get more people. Obviously, that would make the show even funner than what it is. It's already really fun to do. But I'm putting everything on the line for this show. And I think that gets left out a lot. That I could lose my career over this. You know what I mean? So when I'm looking over here, I'm looking in the chat. I guess I should look into the camera. That's why that's frustrating, is that it's never been about the money before until I can lose my job for the things that I say. So that's where the kind of the, I guess the somewhat of the fear comes in of that. And I've spoken about this before, is that that's why when you guys, this is not a little violin, ooh, like send Brad money. That's not what this is about. So don't send me a single dollar, please. All I'm saying is that's why I value you guys coming in and watching the show and always contributing and helping out, is because there might be a day to where I come on here and go, I lost my job because of this show. And that's a risk. That's nobody else's fault, by the way, other than mine. I wouldn't even blame anybody else. I knew that risk going into this, but that's what I'm saying. The job security is not there. And that's what's frustrating, is like, I should have a lot more viewers on YouTube, because about 20 to 35% of my subscribers, my followers on Rumble, watch the show daily. It's not even, it's like 0.3% of people, the 80,000 viewers, watch the Bald Brad Show. They can't find it. They don't know how to get to it. They're not showing, they're not recommending it. So anywho, it's a little nerve wracking. It can definitely be a little bit nerve wracking. Get in your head. It says the Democrat confirmed the plan after warning earlier this week that he would make the trip if Garcia, a man residing in Maryland, well, he was residing in Maryland, but he belonged in El Salvador, who was detained in March, deported, and sent to a terrorism confinement center in his home country in El Salvador, was not returned to the United States. How could you return somebody if they're a terrorist? That's by the government. That's not me. I'm just reporting what they're saying. He has been deemed a terrorist, a violent gang member that was, I guess, trafficking people or smuggling people or something like that is what they're saying. Why would you bring him back? You know what I mean? I'm not part of the teachers union. So, yeah. It should be a priority of the U.S. government to secure his safe release. I told you, I'm not a big fan of public sector unions myself, because I think public sector unions facilitate an idea that's obviously pro them, but goes against I don't say goes against the will of the people, but they will bargain and work for resources that aren't necessarily in the public's interest. And public unions, in my mind, should be going forward for the best interest of the public, but that doesn't always happen with public sector unions. And so that's why I always opted not to be a part of the union itself. I don't actually believe in it. I don't think they go with my interest. They go with progressive leftist interests. And I think a lot of unions actually do that. Not saying all, but I think a lot of the public unions do it. So I'm not a big union guy. Private sector, yeah, here or there. I'm very wish-washy about unions myself. And sometimes I get a little hypocritical with it, to be honest. Last week, the Supreme Court issued a ruling, mind you, allegedly a MS-13 gang member. They're good people, though, in MS-13. They just cut off your heads and use them as cereal bowls. Remember, we're going a little bit longer today, folks. Just heads up. Garcia's return, a legal battle over Garcia's deportation is ongoing, and the judge overseeing the case ordering federal officials to testify on whether they're working to get Garcia back. Well, yeah, we had the president of El Salvador in the Oval Office. Trump goes, "You going to bring him back?" He's like, "No." Okay, done. There's nothing more to talk about. That was it. On Monday, White House aide Stephen Miller dismissed claims that Garcia was deported by mistake and contended that withholding order to the suspect received 6 years ago is no longer valid because the Trump administration has designated MS-13 as a foreign terror organization. And during a White House meeting with President Donald Trump, El Salvador president declared that he would not send him back. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? They couldn't answer him, by the way. The media could not answer him. They just have a narrative to push. They're like, well, that's a great question. I don't know. But how are you going to bring him back? He's like, did you not hear what I just said? Because they're dum-dums. They're big old dum-dums. They don't know anything. Caitlin Collins just kept interrupting the entire time. And so here is Pam Bondi talking about Mr. Garcia here. This was posted on Rapid Response 47, all but 8 minutes ago.
We did the right thing. It was one additional step in paperwork that needed to be taken. Now he is declared as a foreign transnational gang member. So, Bill, even if President Bukele said, we'll send him back, all that would happen is one more step in paperwork and he would go right back to El Salvador because he is an MS-13 member. ICE testified to that. There was a witness testimony. There was an immigration judge who testified in 2019. There was an appellate judge. All of these individuals and judges ruled that he was a member of MS-13. They are one of the most violent gangs. He is an illegal alien, and I'm sick of the liberal.
You notice they always put out like the nicest photos of people. You know what I mean? It's never them holding up the gang signs. And now I could be wrong. Again, this is all alleged. Okay, it's all alleged for legal purposes. They never show them holding the gang signs, right? All the Uzis with their friends. The giant MS-13 tattoo on the back. They don't ever show that, right? Standing over dead bodies like, orale.
The most violent gangs. He is an illegal alien, and I'm sick of the liberal media saying that he's a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. He's a guy from El Salvador who's part of one of the most violent gangs in our country. They are organized. They are committing some of the worst crimes in our country. You know, just right here, half an hour away from where.
What the? It lagged.
An hour away from where.
It lagged. God, man, X sucks, dude.
Where I'm standing, we arrested a MS-13 member who was one of the top in the entire country of MS-13. And he didn't have any charges until we went in there. He had 4 guns. We charged him with the gun charges. We dropped the gun charges because we're going to send him back to where he came from, El Salvador. He is now fighting us in court not to drop the gun charges so he can stay in the state.
That's crazy.
Pretty absurd.
Right.
Yeah. How do you get those guns? Did he get them legally? That's the question, too. That's always the question. And I think Weaver said it perfectly. 1776 Weaver said, if you aid and abet an enemy of the country, you are a traitor to the country and deserve what the law says you should get. Bingo! And that's exactly what I've been mentioning here for years. And that's why I think Joe Biden, DHS secretary, and a lot of that administration should be tried for treason because they aided and abetted terrorists into this country and allowed it to happen. And I think there's a strong case that they did commit treason with the United States of America. And bingo, man, you hit it perfect. That is right. That El Salvadorian president made good ally with Trump and for Trump. Absolutely. And look, we want allies as well down there. You know, El Salvador is rich in natural goods. So I'm liking that one. We also have some clips here. Let's go through a lot of videos for a while rather than me looking at the articles. There's more articles I have, but let's look at this. So I guess Secretary Burgum transfers administration's jurisdiction over nearly 110,000 acres of federal land along the U.S.-Mexico border to U.S. Army over the next 3 years. This is a huge, huge move, which really gives more power, I would say, back maybe to the executive branch, if anything. So we can get some military guys down there so we don't have this fentanyl, violent gang members and all this stuff pouring across.
We got this exclusive access, though, as you mentioned, to Secretary of Interior Doug Burgum as he signed these documents transferring a stretch of land along the border to the military for 3 years. It's all part of the Roosevelt Reservation, which runs through parts of New Mexico, California, and Arizona. Secretary Burgum toured the New Mexico section, an area known for illegal crossings, gotaways, and smuggling activities.
And the cartels, in many cases, they've got more funding, they've got more incentives, they've got more determination to do it. I mean, we're up against a real enemy here. We need to make sure the border's secure, not just to protect the citizens from bad actors that are entering, but it's a real effective national security.
We got this exclusive.
But God forbid we protect Americans. Oh, that's just so terrible. It's wrong. How could you? You also have this here where a suburban Detroit school district eliminates DEI director position. The superintendent says the decision was in response to the Trump administration's policies. Well, it was a bogus position in the first place. I think it was UC San Diego or San Diego State. And I'm really reaching back in my memory. This might be going back a decade ago. They had some sort of DEI director position. And I want to say it paid like $600,000 or something like that, to make sure that like the university was meeting its quota based on race. I remember it was all over the news in Southern California, mostly AM 640 with John and Ken. Crazy. As you can tell, I listen to a lot of the radio because I used to drive 3 hours to work every day. For an entire year, I drove from Orange County all the way up to close to Glendale every day. Some days it took me legitimately 3 hours to get home with no AC. I was hanging out of my car in a suit, just right. And the stinky ass smell off the 710 because it was all homeless in Los Angeles. And you could smell it in the air. That's not an exaggeration. So I'm basking in the sun, sitting dead stop on the 710 freeway, trying to get home, hanging out my window because I didn't have AC, and already had been 2 hours. And now I have to smell the fecal matter and feces. And I said, it doesn't smell like poop and pee. It's like a mixture of sweat, pee, decay. If you know, you have to smell it. It's hard to explain. It's like trying to explain to somebody what a dead body smells like. I don't know how to explain it. It's gross. Ugh, God, like I want to gag. It sticks with you forever. That's how LA smells, man, in Long Beach. It's all Democrat ran.
Big changes tonight from school leaders in Rochester. The superintendent sent a letter to families last week announcing that the district is eliminating the position of its DEI director. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Terrence Friday.
I'm Shayna Humphreys. The superintendent says the decision was in response to Trump administration.
Did nobody talk to her like, hey, you know what, maybe the shirt's a little bit too close to your skin color?
administration policies. CBS News Detroit's Heath Kalb spoke with residents and has more on what it may mean moving forward.
Well, this decision marks the first school district in Oakland County to remove a DEI position because of policies from the Trump administration. And now people here have opinions on this move and are wondering if we're going to be seeing more of this moving forward.
The kids that are here are going to be better off.
Big changes tonight from school leaders in Rochester.
To be better off.
I mean, look, I'm laughing because it's just funny. Like, it just cuts to that dude. And he's just telling it like it is. I don't think they'll be better off necessarily. I think they just won't be impacted in the same way they weren't really impacted before. I'm not hounding the guy. It's a meaningless position is what it is. DEI in practice doesn't work. The idea of DEI is fine. Diversity of thought is great. You would want diversity of thought so that you can hear all different perspectives and come to the best perspective. I mean, that's the whole purpose of free speech, is to try to hear what people say and come to your own conclusion of what you think is right and what you think is wrong, and then move forward with that. That's what you want. That's why you go to doctors. You're like, hey, I think I want a second opinion because maybe that guy or gal doesn't know what she's talking about. And now with the DEI stuff, well, you know, they might be right. You got a bunch of doctors that got in, not for passing anything, but for, just the sheer fact that the color of their skin got them to where they're at, which is mind-blowing, by the way. Mind-blowing. It's going to be crazy when I'm an older guy, I want to say in the next 20 or 30 years, because all these people that can't read and do math somehow graduated from these universities. When did they start learning the math is my question. If you didn't know it in elementary school, you didn't know it in middle school. We're talking 50% of the country at least, by the way. 50% of the country. And you didn't know it in high school. How is it 50% of the country are graduating from college then? And this was a conversation I was having with a coworker yesterday. How is that possible? How? Could somebody make sense of this for me? I can make sense for you. It's all bogus. It's all bullshit. It's called curving the grade. Everybody failed, but hey, we got to get you through the system. So you didn't actually learn anything. You just paid a bunch of money to not know anything and party and have a good time, but we still passed you through the system because they can't do it. That's the God honest answer. That's the truth. Let's see what else here we have in the news. It looks like we got China in the news once again, and it looks like they're going to be in the news for quite a while because China needs to make a deal with the U.S. big time. Oh, yeah. Now, we're going to be hurt by this. Don't get me wrong. We're going to be hurt. But China has to make a deal with the United States because they're closing factories, man. They need us big time because we're the only country that can buy all their crap. And I keep saying this. Yeah, they can go to Europe and Vietnam and they're negotiating with these other countries. Sure, whatever. But those countries still can't buy as much product as we can. They're still going to have factories that are closing and they're holding on to millions of dollars at a time of goods. They don't know what to do. And so they're having to right now to sell off machinery to just stay afloat. The longer this goes on, you're going to choke that country out. They don't know what to do. Will we be choked out? A little bit, but not in the same capacity as China. No way.
The president has made his position on China quite clear, although I do have an additional statement that he just shared with me in the Oval Office. The ball is in China's court. China needs to make a deal with us. We don't have to make a deal with them. There's no difference between China and any other country except they are much larger. And China wants what we have, what every country wants, what we have, the American consumer. Or to put it another way, they need our money. So the president, again, has made it quite clear that he's open to a deal with China, but China needs to make a deal with the United States of America.
She's right. She's right. Now, are our goods going to be more expensive if we don't make a deal? Yes. Are there going to be less goods? Yes. But at the end of the day, they still need us to buy all this stuff. Because what we got to call a spade. We buy a bunch of crap. We talked about this yesterday on the show. In general, we buy a bunch of crap. Stuff that doesn't do much for us. You don't need a ton of Nikes. You want a ton of Nikes. And do you have a right to buy those Nikes? Absolutely. It's your money. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. It's your money. I don't care what you do. I'm libertarian on a lot of this stuff of you leave me alone, I leave you alone. What I'm saying is that we just want a lot of stuff, but we don't actually need it. And there's a big difference on those types of things. And I, in a sense, on a personal finance level, I think it's almost good for some people not to be able to afford a lot of stuff. Why? Because now you're not going to buy the thing you can't afford. And by the way, it should have always been that way. People put stuff on credit cards all the time, because they don't have the money for it. Don't buy something you don't have money for. I know you want it then and there. Trust me, there's a lot of things I would love, to buy, but I don't have the money for it. So guess what? I don't buy it. I mean, I wish I could show you. It's like, I don't have it. I can't show you anything. I don't have anything. I'm like looking around like, what can I show them? I guess I could show you this that I got from somebody. The booty. The booty. There's Joey's booty. But, you know, I don't have much. Yeah, I try to show you guys. I got a hat. I don't know. I don't got anything. Don't buy stuff you can't afford. I feel like that's a simple thing to do. Most people don't do it. Personal finance is 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge. Read Dave Ramsey. Here. You want Dave Ramsey? This will change your life. This will change your life. I'm going to post it in the chat. I think this book is so important that I give it to people for their wedding gift. It's Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and I'm going to put it in the chat. I think it's that important, you guys. This will change your life if you're struggling. Here we go. This is what Bald Brad follows. And I'll show you right here. Dave Ramsey. This is the man. I follow his stuff. Okay? Oh, it doesn't work. You know, you won't get ahead. Okay, sure. Yeah. Then you stay where you're at, and I will continue to do what I'm doing. You continue to use credit cards and go and pay more for something than when you just would have saved up for it and you would have been good. You go do that. I'm good. Booty shot. Yeah, that's the booty. We'll keep that going. We'll keep the booty going. I need more gadgets and gizmos here. We can have a little bit more fun with that. I think that's what I need to do is get a little bit more cheap stuff from like the dollar store or something. What do I got to show you guys? I got a pen. I got a stamp. We got a lot of stuff. I haven't opened this up in a while. I got a receipt. Woo! Wow, he's killing it. But this one's important. This one I do have. Let me get that on screen for you, folks. There you go. There you go. You always have a copy of the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, baby, on hand. If you don't, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you really an American? By the way, it's not the only copy I have. I got a few of those bad boys around. Oh, I'm all American. I'm all American. Let's get into the news. Enough of me ranting. Brad, shut up. I'm here for the news, not to hear about you digging in your freaking drawer. I don't blame you. By the way, I got to give a shout out to George here. My bad. I read that earlier and he had me cracking up. It's lagging. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. Wow. Dude, okay. I missed a bunch of people. I am so sorry. Hold on. Oh, no. Let me refresh it. Hopefully it doesn't disappear. Please do not disappear. Give me 1 second, folks. I totally forgot to read the fan funding. Okay, so we have his servant. Thank you so much for joining the Bald Brad Army and continuing your membership. Appreciate you. Yeah, the Shield. You've been around for a while. We already knew you've been around for a while. We know your name, but appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining Bald Brad Army. Also, George with the $5. You have to stay around. Who will I abuse? That's a great point. That's a great point. I don't know, George. I don't know. But we like you, you sassy son of a bitch. We like you. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody over at Rumble. Let me go through this really quick. It disappears after a while. If I did, I'm so freaking sorry. All right, I think we're good. All right. And the Bill of Rights, absolutely. Get out of your drawers, Brad. That's a good play on words. There you go. We got California challenging Donald Trump's tariffs here in court. So here's Newsome. California Governor Gavin Newsom, one of the worst governors, if not, I think he actually is the worst governor in the entire United States, has announced that the state will file a lawsuit against President Donald Trump to block recently imposed tariffs. The legal action is based on the claim that the tariffs enacted under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act are causing irreparable harm to California's economy, business, and families. The state argues that these tariffs are not only economically damaging, but also an overreach of presidential authority. He might have a case here, actually. He might have a case. So we'll see what comes of that. Not in the, I don't think in the, basically the harm aspect, but is it an overreach through presidential authority for this? It might be. Excuse me. It totally might be. We'll have to see how that one plays out in court. But it's not surprising that we here in California are taking a hit. By the way, do you see me moaning and complaining about it? No, because I'm used to getting the crap beat out of me by Democrats through taxes, through regulations, through this or that here in the state of California. You know, you don't know any different. You know what I mean? If I were to go to Texas, I'm sure I'd be like, whoa, this is how you guys live? What? This is great. But because you've been beaten down by Democrat policies your entire life, I actually don't know anything different. And some of you might be like, bro, that's crazy. But that's the God honest truth. The question is, have I actually experienced freedom before? Like true freedom, like Americana. I don't know. That's the wild thing. I really don't know. I might have just blown some of your minds. And that was an honest take, by the way. Some of you live in great parts of the country. And I think California can be great again, which is why I stick around, because I'm on the front lines, man. I'm on the front lines fighting. I ain't leaving this bitch for a while. But I might. If the show gets up and running, I'm out. The show takes off, I'm out. Peacing out. Quick. Real quick. I got bills to pay. I got a job. I got to feed myself. Sorry, Brad, but I'm okay with the state you live in is going broke. Yeah. The ship starts going down. My lights start flickering because there's no electricity anymore. It's like, Brad, are you in Gaza? That's a bad joke. That was a bad joke. It was a funny joke, but it was a bad joke. Let's see what we have here. Maine is back in the mix with this transgender stuff. Jeez, dude. Well, Pam Bondi is saying that she is going to be suing the Maine Department of Education for the refusal to protect women and girls in sports. It's an odd thing to me that the Democrat Party has always been about feminism and women rights, whatever. But yet we have a thing called domestic abuse. If a guy beats the shit out of his girlfriend or wife, or just a girl in general, he goes to jail. And it's the other way around, to be truthful, but he goes to jail. But now they're allowing men to actively pretend to be women to beat the crap out of women. And it's okay. Like men need to get, just lay out some steam. You know what I mean? We do that in different ways. Smoke cigars, have a glass of whiskey, go drive around for a bit, punch the steering wheel a bunch of times. I don't do that because I'm not that an aggressive of a guy unless you piss me off. But now they're just actively letting guys hey, I can take out some aggression. I got to beat a woman. Crazy, dude. This is the Democrat Party for you nowadays. So good on Pam Bondi for issuing this injunction, this suit.
The Department of Justice is announcing a civil lawsuit against the Maine Department of Education. The state of Maine is discriminating against women by failing to protect women in women's sports. Pretty basic stuff. This is a violation of Title IX. The Department of Justice will not sit by when women are discriminated against in sports. This is about sports. This is also about these young women's personal safety. I've met many of these women throughout the past weeks and months, and what they have been through is horrific.
How the hell is she 60? She's 60, right?
We have exhausted every other remedy. We tried to get Maine to comply. We don't like standing up here and filing lawsuits. We want to get states to comply with us. That's what this is about. We have repeatedly notified Maine of its infractions and urged them to remedy the situation to protect women. We've stripped grants from Maine through other departments, and we are going to continue to fight for women.
Dude, really? I mean, can we just look at this again? I'm going to mute it. How is she 59 years old? Folks, They look almost the same age. I mean, the eyes are kind of what gives it away. Where you're like, yeah, you look kind of, eyes are, the gravity takes its hold. Dude, what the hell? I mean, look, the skin is just tight. 59, dude. That's crazy. That's some like Salma Hayek type looks right there. Man. I don't understand. That's like drinking the blood of the youth or something. I don't know how you get there. Oh my God. It's happening. He's getting on the flight. Okay, I might actually get to see this before I leave town. I'm leaving the country. So the dude is hopping on a flight right now.
At the airport, I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Albrego Garcia home until he returns to his family. I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is. But we are going to keep fighting because this is a miscarriage of justice. The Supreme Court has ruled 9-0, that he was illegal.
Isn't it wild that Democrats are willing to leave the country for an illegal immigrant to see how they're doing, but they're never willing to leave the country to see how our troops are doing around the world? Isn't it crazy? This guy will leave the country for an illegal immigrant to see how they're doing.
Legally taken out of the country and put in a prison in El Salvador. And this is about due process. This is about rule of law. What bullies do is they begin by picking on the most vulnerable. But if we get rid of the rule of law and due process in the United States, it's a short road from there to tyranny. I'm here at the airport.
It's a short to tyranny. Shut up. Whatever. It's like my assess is not wrong. It's like they're always willing to bend over backwards for people that aren't American. It's the oddest thing to me. I don't know when that changed in society. I don't know when it happened, but you're supposed to be advocating for Americans. Well, he is American. He was in Maryland. No, he's an El Salvadorian. Came here illegally. That somehow got legal status that was revoked because he turned out to be a gang member allegedly and was trafficking people. So let me get this straight. Democrats love trafficking people so much that not only did they lose 350,000 children to forced labor, slavery, by the way, or sex trafficking, but now they're so gung-ho about this. They love it so much. They get such a hard-on for terrorism, gang members, illegal immigrants, that now they're flying to other countries to just see how they're doing. Fucking what? What? Okay. Little crazy to me. They are now flying to other countries to see how terrorists are doing. You couldn't write this shit. I say it all the time. Could it get any crazier? Did we ever think we would see a time? 9/11 was what? 24 years ago? In 2 decades' time. That's how long it took Democrats to start going and checking in on terrorists. You doing okay in there, buddy? You doing all right? Yeah, I know we shouldn't have got rid of you. I know you wanted to traffic people. I know. We'll get you back. We'll continue that. We'll continue it. Don't worry. You need some water? Fucking dude. I know you're all baffled as much as I am, but when you put it in that perspective, it really is mind-blowing. We're going to go check on a guy that traffics people allegedly and is a violent gang member, and his gang itself rapes little girls, but that's where I'm going to make sure. I need to make sure that guy's okay. Speaking of illegal immigration and trials, Vance proposes rethinking due process for immigration trials. Well, you got to think of something or else this ain't happening under the Trump administration. So U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has sparked a nationwide debate by suggesting that the enforcement of due process might need to be reconsidered due to the overwhelming number of illegal immigrants entering the country under President Joe Biden's administration. Vance's remarks made via social media imply that the legal system's capacity to handle jury trials for all these cases is being stretched too thin. Exactly what I mentioned at today's episode, leading to discussions on legal rights, constitutional integrity, and the practice of law enforcement. So he says this: consider that Joe Biden allowed approximately 20 million illegal aliens into our country. This placed extraordinary burdens on our country, our schools, hospitals, housing, and other essential services. We're overwhelmed. On top of that, many of these illegal aliens committed violent crimes or facilitated fentanyl and sex trafficking. That is the situation we inherited. And Joey knew this. The bureaucrats knew this. And they all knew that this would happen, that it would clog up the system, and that they wouldn't be able to be deported. There was always part of the game plan of saying, well, we know he's going to try to deport people. He's already said he was going to do it on the campaign trail, even before. Well, let's just bring in as many people as we can. And he's screwed. He's not going to be able to do it. And what are we going to use that under the umbrella of? Due process. You have to give them due process. I say they're not supposed to be here. Give them due process in their own country. And we have Zoom, have them do it there, and you're good. If you are legally allowed to be here, you can come on back. How about that? There you go. Problem solved. Problem solved. To say the administration must observe due process is to beg the question, what processes do is a function of our resources, the public interest, and the status of the accused, the proposed punishment, and so many other factors. To put it in concrete terms, imposing the death penalty on an American citizen requires more legal process than deporting an illegal alien to their country of origin. When the media and the far left abscess over MS-13 gang member and demand that he be returned to the United States for a third deportation hearing, what they are really saying is that the vast majority of illegal aliens to stay here permanently. Correct. And that was always what they wanted, because 90% of immigrants, whether you're legal or illegal, are Democrat voters. They're Democrat voters because they rely heavily on our welfare state. They rely heavily on all the handouts that we give people. And that's why people are going to move to places that give those handouts. And that's why you have a quarter of the country's homeless population over that in one county, not one state, one county. Los Angeles County has over a quarter of the entire country's homeless population. Why? Because of the handouts, all the services you provide them, and they will admit it as to why they're here. Now, that's just in one county. We have the majority, the vast majority of the country's homeless population in the state of California. They're going to go where they can get the welfare. They're going to go where they can get the free stuff. Here's a useful test. Ask the people weeping over the lack of due process what precisely they proposed for dealing with Biden's millions and millions of illegals. And with reasonable resources and administrative judge constraints, does their solution allow us to deport at least a few million people per year? If the answer is no, they've given their game away. They don't want border security. They don't want us to deport the people who've come into our country illegally. They want to accomplish through their fake legal process what they failed to accomplish politically, the ratification of Biden's illegal immigrant invasion. President Trump and I will not stand for it. And I want to point out that he's correct. He's correct, but we know their game, right? We know their sleazy game. Politicians are sleazy. There you go. Dizzy took it right out of my mouth. Absolutely correct. Miss Mom says, with the $2, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. We couldn't even get them to go to their own border. Correct. Matter of fact, do y'all remember that Kamala Harris flew over the border initially? And then she was called out by it on MSNBC. Let me see if I can find that clip where she goes, I've been to the border. I've been to the border. And the guy's like, no, you haven't. It was the black guy. He's like, no, you haven't. She's like, well, I haven't been to Europe. Let's see if I can find it really quick. It's one of the greatest clips of all time. Here we go. I think it's this one. Here, yep.
Okay. Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making. Okay.
Do you have?
Because you're an idiot. Watch her face when she gets stumped. It's the universal look for, oh fuck, I haven't been to Europe. Watch. It's the universal sign for like, oh shit. Right there. Fuck. Everybody's seen that look in their life when they stumped somebody else in an argument. Oh shit. And then they always come out. The follow-up is always something stupid. I haven't been to Europe. I don't know what you're asking. I gotta watch it again.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point.
By the way, she's leading in the polls to run for president of the United States in 2028. Like, she's blowing Gavin Newsom out of the water. She's blowing everybody out of the water. Oh my God. She makes me sick. Yeah, she's from my state. We produce the worst. We produce some of the worst people. Oh boy. Things are crazy. And things will continue to be crazy because that's just, the life we live in now. And I'm sure it was crazy before we realized all the craziness was crazy, but that's what we got to deal with here. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, hit that like button. And I think we've been going on for about an hour and a half here. So I think we'll cut it here. Most likely, if I do an evening show today, it will be at around 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or maybe 3. I'm just going to go live when I feel like it, to be honest. Probably go live for an hour. And then if I go live this evening, then we're not going to go live tomorrow morning. So if you don't see me 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, doesn't mean I won't do a show. I'm just going to shoot from the hip. Because technically, starting at 1 o'clock today, I am on vacation. Technically, my vacation starts today. I'm not leaving for vacation till Friday. But so you're not going to see me 100% guaranteed from Friday. You will see me from Friday. You won't see me till the 28th. That's the longest break we've ever taken here on the show. It's going to be weird. In 4 years, man. By the way, even with that, I pre-recorded videos in the past. So I've actually never taken a break from the show. Think about that. 4 years. Over 4 years. I've never taken a break from the Bald Brad Show. It's hard. That's what she said. It's really hard. It's difficult. Love you guys. Troba, thank you so much. Appreciate you for joining the chat. Thank you. Appreciate that. L or M, if you're in here, I apologize for going crazy in the education thing. You pulled a cord. It was nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with me. Appreciate you. It's not me, it's you. Thank you, everybody, for joining today's episode. We'll be back here probably later today, most likely. Today or tomorrow. We'll see. We'll shoot from the hip. Probably today. With that being said, pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump, Patriots. Thank you to everybody that contributed to today's show. Thank you for all the members. We do have a membership if you want to join. We'd love for you to join us over at Rumble, or my website, baldbrad.com, has a donation tab. Really appreciate your help and support with that. And I'll see you next time here on The Bald Brad Show. Take care, guys.